boobs, so I gave her a taste of her own medicine. My wife and I have been together for 11 years, married for just over 5 years. Ever since I met her in college, she has been insecure about her appearance, specifically her body. When we got our first jobs out of college and became financially stable, she approached me and asked how I felt about her getting a honker job. I wasn't a huge fan of the idea. I told her I loved her how she is and that I didn't think she needed one. I just think they look oddly perky and not natural. And I've dated women in the past with varying chest size and would prefer a woman with flat boobs compared to someone with fake ones. But knowing how much it has bothered her, I told her I would support her decision either way, but I wish I never did. After thinking about it for a while, she approached me again to ask if I was still serious with my answer and that she was going to proceed with the operation. I wasn't sure how to feel about it at first. I thought about talking her out of it, but wanted to stand by my original answer and support her either way. So she did get a honker job. Her surgeon was fantastic and things did end up looking very good considering my prior opinion. The problem I've had is ever since she got her honker job, it's definitely made her put them on display. She went from wearing baggy and unrevealing clothing to very tight and revealing shirts with a lot of cleavage. I'm not enjoying the fact that she is willing to show people her bare breasts. It's no secret to anyone that has known her for a long time that she got a honker job. At first, it was mostly her just showing her girlfriends, which was still weird to me but didn't really cross a boundary for me. However, it's almost as if the more and more she's shown them off and gotten validation, the more and more enabled she is to continue doing it. The first time it crossed a boundary for me was when we were at a friend's house for dinner and drinks, and she had a little too much to drink and showed her girlfriend her breasts while her girlfriend's husband was standing right there. She pulled her breasts open in front of everyone sitting on the table. While driving back home I confronted her about her actions, but she just replied by saying, "Don't you want to show everyone how great my new guns are?" I realized that she was still drunk and decided to wait until we got home. The next morning I tried to set boundaries with her, but she accused me of controlling her and started crying. I thought that maybe this was a one-time thing, but I was wrong. Most recently, we were at a friend's house with many other mutual friends watching a football game, and she got drunk again. Upon our team scoring, she lifted her shirt and flashed her breasts at the entire party while jumping up and down in celebration. She's not even a football fan and hardly understands who to cheer for. To me it was like an excuse to just show off her breasts to everyone. I had enough and we had an argument again. She got defensive and turned it around on me, saying that for once in her life she's happy with how she looks and she just wants to feel good about herself. Arguing with her was pointless, but there was still one way to fix this situation. The next week when we went for a family dinner with her parents, I decided to do what she does, thinking that she would understand how I felt. While her siblings and parents were eating, I stood up and flashed my pee-pee. Everyone stared at me with shock. My wife started screaming for me to cover up and told her parents that we were leaving. On the drive back home she asked me, "Why the F would you do that?" I told her because I feel good about my pee-pee and want everyone to know about it. Just like you want everyone to know about your breasts. She broke down in the car and tried to explain how men always want to see boobs while girls aren't so obsessed. I had enough of her bullshit. And told her that the next time she flashes her breasts, I'm going to flash my pee-pee. And now, her mother is messaging me asking for pics of it. I kinda like this attention.
My boyfriend is getting too comfortable. He thinks nutting in my kitty cat in front of my parents is completely normal. Me and my BF have been together for almost 3 years, and living together for almost 2. I'm at university and work as a manager, and he has a full-time job at around 30 to 40 hours a week. At the start it was your stereotypical happy and progressive relationship. He'd get me flowers, make me coffee in the mornings, I'd cook his favorite meals if he had a bad day, and we would go on dates. Our friends used us as a template for the perfect relationship since we knew how to communicate, and anything that almost became a fight was resolved within the day. We were both on the exact same wavelength with everything. In the past year, it's become really difficult to have good communication. I've kept doing what we've always done and brought up anything bothering me and how we can resolve it. But he started making empty promises. For example, my university semester started and I got a promotion at work. So I asked him if we could shuffle the house chores a bit since I was doing way more hours. He said, "Yeah, of course." And did the normal hug and kiss, but nothing changed. If I bring it up again, he just brushes it off as, "Yeah, I'll do it later," but he doesn't. I thought he might have been struggling with something that he didn't want to tell me about. So I gave him more leeway and just asked for a little bit of help here and there. So I would make dinner and just ask that he unloads the dishwasher afterwards, but he would do the same thing, agree but pretend I hadn't asked. The final straw for me was a couple days ago. We were getting a bunch of furniture moved to our house and my parents were helping us at 10 a.m. I told my BF this and he said that's completely fine, but he's already agreed to go clubbing with our friends. I said that's fine as long as he helps me clear out the living room for the new furniture before he leaves. He says that his friends want to have a house party until 6, and I say we can't be out that late but we can stay out until 3. He says that's fine. I hadn't been on a night out in ages. So they invited me along. I had just got a new dress and I was really excited to go out. I got my dress and makeup ready and told my BF that we had to start moving furniture now if it was going to be ready in the morning. He said, sure, give him a minute to finish a fight in his video game. I started moving things and NGL really struggled with the heavy stuff. So I reminded him to help me move things. He tells me to wait. 2 hours go by with me struggling to lift couches and he jumps into the room, dressed up and ready to leave. He quickly tells me that he's ordered a taxi and is leaving soon. I ask what about moving the furniture? He just shrugs and says show me that kitty cat, follow for part 2.
This is the Reddit lamp story. Enjoy. During my last semester at a certain college, I was assaulted by a football player for walking where he was trying to drive. Note, he was 325 pounds, I was 120 pounds. While unconscious on the ground, I lived a different life. I met a wonderful young lady. She made my heart skip and my face red. I pursued her for months and dispatched a few jerk boyfriends before I finally won her over. After 2 years, we got married, and almost immediately she bore me a daughter. I had a great job, and my wife didn't have to work outside of the house. When my daughter was 2, my wife bore me a son. My son was the joy of my life. I would walk into his room every morning before I left for work, and doted on him and my daughter. One day while sitting on the couch, I noticed that the perspective of the lamp was odd, like inverted. It was still in 3D, but just wrong. It was a square lamp base, red with gold trim on 4 legs and a white square shade. I was transfixed. I couldn't look away from it. I stayed up all night staring at it. The next morning I didn't go to work. Something was just not right about that lamp. I stopped eating. I left the couch only to use the bathroom at first, but soon I stopped that too as I wasn't eating or drinking. I stared at the fucking lamp for 3 days, before my wife got really worried. She had someone come and try to talk to me. By this time my cognizance was breaking up and my wife was freaking out. She took the kids to her mother's house just before I had my epiphany. The lamp is not real. The house is not real. My wife, my kids, none of that is real. The last 10 years of my life are not fucking real. The lamp started to grow wider and deeper. It was still inverted dimensions. It took up my entire perspective and all I could see was red. I heard voices, screams, all kinds of weird noises. And I became aware of pain. A fucking shit ton of pain. The first words I said were, "I'm missing teeth," and opened my eyes. I was laying on my back on the sidewalk surrounded by people that I didn't know. Lots were freaking out. I was completely confused. At some point a cop scooped me up, dragged and walked me across the sidewalk and grass, and threw me face down in the back of a cop car. I was still confused. I was taken to the hospital by the cop. Seems he didn't want to wait for the ambulance to arrive, and give CAT scans and shit. I went through about 3 years of horrid depression. I was grieving the loss of my wife and children, and dealing with the knowledge that they never existed. I was scared that I was going insane, as I would cry myself to sleep hoping I would see her in my dreams. I never have. But sometimes I see my son, usually just a glimpse out of my peripheral vision. He is perpetually 5 years old and I can never hear what he says. Edit, 24 hours after post. I never thought anyone would read this. I changed a line so that it no longer seems that my 2-year-old daughter bore a child. I have never seen Inception or the Star Trek episodes so many have mentioned, but I will eventually. I will not do an AMA. I've had many PMs describing similar experiences and 3 posters stating such experiences are impossible. I'd say more research needs to be done on brain functions.
The opposite gender does. When a girl wants to be the big spoon, seriously, it's like having a soft, warm backpack that nuzzles the back of your neck, and most guys enjoy it as much as girls. Plus we don't get a curtain of hair in our face. Plus, the almighty lumps are pressed against our back. That's pretty great too. My boyfriend looks freaking adorable when he's sick. Not when he's coughing up a lung or dying, but when he has a regular cold and he's weak and can't do anything by himself. He's normally this built 6'2" guy who towers over me, but when I have to help him, I go all putty, smiling at his own dorky joke, like it's so cute. In fact, big ol' wide goofy smiles and laughs in general. I know plenty of guys who try to be hard and tough and frown in every photo. It's not really attractive. I think it's kind of cute when a guy is afraid of spiders or something and he freaks out a little bit when one gets on him but then tries to play it off. I really like it when a girl yawns. It's this moment of total vulnerability, something she has no control over. My ex's smile. Her boyfriend before me was extremely awful to her, and she told me all the things he had said to her. One was that her teeth were messed up so she shouldn't smile. So when I met her she was accustomed to not smiling, or talking about herself. After months of slowly trying to break her of that habit, and ensuring her that her smile was beautiful and infectious, she would laugh and smile at me when she thought I wasn't looking. I saw it every time. When they touch you absent-mindedly, my boyfriend never even realizes it, but it's like I'm magnetic or something. He plays with my hair, or makes sure our legs touch when he's gaming and I'm watching.
My delusional teenage daughter didn't learn her lesson from the first time she got pregnant, so we kicked her out. My teenage daughter Josie had her first baby when she was 15. My husband and I were devastated because we knew this was going to be a very difficult path for our daughter. We did all we could to give her intimacy education, but it wasn't enough and we couldn't turn back time, so all we could do was support her in what she wanted to do. My husband and I helped Josie take care of our grandson and encouraged her to finish high school. She never did because she said her priority was being a mother and she didn't have time to invest into finishing high school. We told her she would either go to school or get a job, but we weren't going to give her the option of doing neither for more than a year after she gave birth, so she got a part-time job at a hair salon. The father of my grandson would give her about $100 a month for baby-related stuff and would come over every couple of months to see his son. He lived in the same city as his son, but that was all he did. A few days ago, Josie broke the news to us that she was pregnant again. She said that the father was the same boy who got her pregnant the first time. My husband was pissed and he was inches away from throwing Josie out of the house. I managed to calm my husband down, and we had a long conversation about Josie's future. How could she get pregnant by the same guy for the second time when he was very obviously not helpful with their first baby? And with Josie living with us rent-free, and us having to take care of my grandson for her so she could work, this didn't seem fair at all that she could add another baby into this mess. After a few days of thinking about it and discussing it with my husband, we decided to tell Josie to move in with the father of her children and raise the children together. She said they weren't in a relationship so they couldn't live together. I told her she needed to figure something out because my husband and I weren't willing to raise another baby for her. She said, "You're never satisfied with anything I do. You told me to get a job so I did, and now you're complaining that you had to raise the baby. You wouldn't have had to if I didn't have to work. I can't do both things at once. And I definitely can't raise 2 kids on my own and work. What 19-year-old can do that?" I replied, "We tried to teach you how to be responsible after your first baby and we did all we could to be there for you. You clearly haven't learned a thing and it's not our job to keep picking up after you. So before your baby arrives, discuss living arrangements with the father and figure something out." She slammed the door after she left and ever since she has been crying. She's called both sets of her grandparents to speak to my husband and me, so we could change our minds. My husband's parents think we're being very harsh and punishing her for something that's already happened, which isn't helpful. They offered to take Josie and our grandson in, but Josie doesn't want to take her kids so far away from their dad. My in-laws said that we'll regret abandoning our daughter and that we should be showing her a better example of unconditional love. They were being too supportive of Josie, so I got the suspicion that Josie may have changed the story for them. I asked them what Josie told them word for word and what they told me blew my mind. Turns out, Josie had told them that she had gotten pregnant accidentally because the father of her first child took advantage of her while she was drunk. No wonder they were sympathizing with her. They also told me that Josie was taking money from them for the baby, but I never saw her spend a single dollar for food or diapers. It became clear that she was lying to everyone and playing the victim card. When she came home that evening, we told her that she better pack her things and leave, because we had no intentions of taking care of her. She tried offering an abortion, but I told her that she wasn't going to unalive her baby and didn't have our consent. She is still in our house, but we gave her 3 days to figure everything out and leave.